in second period. The class is being recorded in second period. So it will be continued up to 40 minutes now. Okay, let us. Okay. So I was discussing about here. So we need to import a module. That module, socket module. As I told you, that module is nothing but it is a like directory or folder. In Java, it is called package. So that module, it is once it is a folder, folder may have files. Same manner, module may have classes, and classes has many methods. Okay, methods. So they will support to create create and use of sockets. Use of sockets. Who this module, suppose if you want to write socket programming in Python, you need to import this module, socket module. And that module has many methods. By that methods, we can create and use the sockets. That is the main point. So here, syntax is what? Socket dot socket. This is the syntax to socket dot socket is the main way. Is the main way to create the sockets. This is the main way. Okay, socket dot socket is the main way to create the socket. So whenever you want to write the code, you need to start like this socket dot socket. Main way to create the socket. So something we need to understand that. After that, one more point here. We need to write the code like this. Okay. Create socket. Suppose you want to create underscore socket. Here we need to write word, as I told you that this is the, as I told you that this is the one way to write the, to create the socket. So here I am writing like this socket dot socket. So within this socket bracket, I need to pass some arguments. I need to pass some arguments. That arguments are what? So I am going to explain. First of all, socket underscore family. Socket underscore family. So I will explain what is this socket underscore family. Okay, next socket underscore type. Okay, what is this type? I will explain. Then protocol. Okay, that is very important. Protocol. So this is the syntax we need to write first of all. Okay. So here try to understand what is this socket underscore family. I am going to explain here. Socket underscore family. What do you mean of this? We need to explain that this socket means this socket programming. Either it is TCP based, otherwise UDP based. For this, we need to refer that it is whether it is UDP based, TCP based. This is family means whether it is Linux based domain, means Unix domain based, otherwise internet domain. We need to say that. So if it is Unix domain, okay, it is Unix based domain. So that moment we need to write like EAF underscore Unix. Okay. If it is Unix domain, mean this socket, it is written for Unix domain. So operating systems are different. Unix means Unix, Linux, Windows operating system. Okay. In internet domain, so many operating systems are running. on internet domain based. Windows is there, Apple operating system is there, okay, and Mac OS is there. So many operating systems. So we need to say here for AF underscore inet. Inet means it is for internet domain. It is for internet domain. Okay. So for this socket type, we need to specify, we need to explain that socket underscore for type, you need to write, you need to clarify that this is which type of, okay. Agar it is, if it is TCP based, you need to write, if it is TCP type, you need to write sock means socket underscore stream, okay. So Java Python interpreter understood that this program is for TCP based, okay. If it is UDP based protocol, so in that moment you need to write sock means socket underscore. I told you that it's UDP datagrams. Your information data will be called as datagrams. Okay, so DZRM datagram. Okay, now come down. So these 2 points I have clear. Next is what? Protocol. Port number. This is protocol. Protocol is what? You are using which protocol? So if you set this protocol as 0, set this protocol as 0. So you are stating, you are mentioning that, my dear interpreter, please try to understand by this socket type, automatically you understood that this is which protocol you need to select. Okay, so if it is if you have written sock underscore stream, means Python interpreter understood that TCP protocol is TCP. If you provide 0, okay, that is meaning. Okay, now come down. So simply I write here for your reference, for your understanding, hash here. So protocol, if I write here protocol, you try to understand the protocol like what? If it is set to 0, okay, set to 0. Set to 0 means what? OS will select. OS means operating system will select. Operating system what? Select what? Select what? Protocol. Okay, as per socket type, operating system will select protocol as per socket type. As per socket type. Okay, now come down. So some methods I will explain. I told you that this is the socket module. The socket module has many methods. So let us try to understand some methods. Some example. Examples of methods. Example. One is that bound method. Bound method. So what it does? Bound method binds the socket with address and port number. That is bound method. So one more method, connect method. Connect method always terminate with the suffixed with the brackets. So okay, connect method, it establishes the connection. EST simply I have it, establishes the connection between whom? Connection between client and server. Client, CLIENT, na? Client and server. Okay, it establishes the connection between the client and server. So one more method, that is what? Listen method. Listen method. Listen method. At this listen method, what happened? Try to understand. So whenever client is requesting, that moment server will listen at that port to for the incoming connections. Okay. So server will listen. Server listen at port for incoming connections. For incoming connections mean incoming clients. Coming connections. The clients. So client is sending what data he is sending. So server will listen at this by this method at the port number. Port. Okay. Now listen. One more method, send method. Send method to send the data. Send method to send the data. To send data. Receive method, RECV. Method means brackets. Receive method will be used to receive RECIV, receive data. Okay. This is. So these are somewhat methods. You need to understand them. You simply write that, and so many methods are there. Some methods I have taken important methods. So now let us try to start the code for the socket programming. First of all, as I have initially commented here, socket programming, you copy here, you paste our topic, that is, where is your topic? Connection, comment, connection oriented socket programming in Python. This is the topic. So first of all, as I told you that as per first import coding, I am writing import module socket. This is the first line of code for your programming of what? This module. If you put dot operator, okay. So this module, I told you that has any classes. So I'm not able to see any classes here. If I write socket and socket, so then what happens? See here, socket and socket, any methods, no any method. So simply import this as a module, the first line of code. After that, you need to do what? You comment here, import the socket module for your understanding. Import the socket module for your understanding. Next line of code, create the object. Every line of code I will explain. Create the object for whom? Object for socket class. Socket class of that module. So create the object for socket class of module is same socket and class is same socket. So in Python, what is the syntax to write the object to any class? Suppose socket, your class name is socket, that is part of your module socket. So what is the syntax? I am writing the syntax. First of all, write to syntax. What is that syntax to write the first syntax to write the object? First object name in Python is equal to class name with brackets. This is the syntax. In Java, we need to add four lines. Four means what? In Java, first of all, you need to write the class name first, then object name is equal new keyword, again class name with the brackets, then semicolon. Here no any semicolon. This is the syntax to create the object in for any class in Python. So first object name, say take object name as what, you can take any name. My name you take, your name you write Vasu, otherwise XYZ, simply otherwise if you want to write S, no issue. S for object of what? As per this first object name means yes, anything, yeah, is equal to class name. What is your class name? Socket. Okay. Socket is a class name. That is the class of your socket module. So socket, then I told you that socket dot socket. So once I have, whenever I have written, try to understand here, try to understand. This is the socket class. Once I put here, I am able to see here, these are all what, this is the socket. Socket, for that socket, some methods are here, get host name, get socket pair, create connection. Okay, this is the socket. The syntax I have written. So after that means, as per the syntax word, object, first is what, object created, then socket name. Okay, then we need to pass the parameters, but this is the actual syntax we need to write. Initially I told you that socket dot socket. Okay, now within this we need to put what, we need to put some arguments here. We need to pass some arguments. Okay, next whether you need to terminate the statement in, like in Java. Java, it will, every statement will be terminated with semicolon. No need. Socket dot socket. Now come down. So you can simply understand this. This is the object. Yes, you can keep your name, my name, it doesn't matter. Okay. For S is equal to object created for socket class. Okay. Then after one more line of code, comment here, get current machine name. What do you mean by machine name? Your computer, laptop, okay, any Android mobile, get current machine name. What is the code to get the current machine name? Simply we can write that, like what, machine name, suppose it's a variable, host is a variable, that variable will be stored with the value socket dot. Okay, I told you that once you keep the dot operator, you will get lot of methods here. So this is the method. This is the method. Okay, whenever this type of symbol you are seeing here, this is representing class. Okay, class. Okay, so get host name. So every time the method will be suffixed with the bracket. Now by this we will get the host name. This is a method name of socket class. This socket class is part of your module socket module. Okay, this, where is our, this is the method. One more method we are using here, get host name. By this we will get the machine, means computer name. Otherwise your host name, if it is concerning with website, that host name will be taken, www.amazon.com, like what, if it is your end device, computer name will be taken for the host name. Okay, that host name is associated with IP address. Okay, now come down. Next, one more line of code we need to write, that is what, port number. We need to write the port number here. Okay, port is equal, you need to, suppose if you assign the port number as 999, this is the port number. Okay, this is the port number I have written. One more line of code. So now I told you that some methods, one method I have all these method I will use here, all these method, from where bound method I will use here, connect method I will use here, listen method, send, receive, all that methods. That's why I have briefed all these methods. Yeah, all these methods will be used for different purposes. So once address host name has been taken, port number assigned, so these two values to be bound with the socket. Socket is what I told you that I have not defined socket. Na? Socket is what I need to explain socket first. No? Socket is what, try to understand. It is a endpoint between apps, apps means applications. If two applications are running, one is server application is running, one is client application is running. So that moment, so for these two applications, the endpoint means it's not a physically existing point. It is a logical point. Okay, logical point. Okay, from where from there they will try to transfer the data. Okay, socket endpoint. Socket is what? It is endpoint between apps. This is a logical point. From that point, both the server and receiver, okay, they will communicate with each other and try to get the transfer the information. Socket. Okay. Now I will use the bound method. That how that bound method will be accessed with the object. I told you that all the methods of that module, this is a module socket. Once you keep your mouse here, simply it is indicating that this socket module. Okay. So this you can understand. Okay, if you have any, you don't need not to go anywhere. You can get all that information here. Okay. And what about this socket? If I keep here, this is the module. Okay. What about this? It is a method. So method, how can you find that is a method? Whenever any word which is terminated with the suffixed with these brackets, so that moment it is called what is a method. Is a method. Okay. So now this is a method. These all methods are being accessed simply by the dot operator. So once your port number host, now then you need to bound these two parameters with the socket by s dot bound method. You can use simply dot operator. Then you will get this is the bind method. This is the bind method. I can use this bind method here. Bind method, I told you that always will be suffixed with the bracket. Suffixed means next, then after. Prefix means just before. And here we need to pass two parameters. So by default, this IDE is what? Integrated Development Environment. Here VS Code, Visual Studio Code I am using here. So it is clearly indicating me, it is helping me. So whenever you download your Visual Studio Code, that is, I think no, it is very useful for, it can be used for many programming languages, C, C++, Java, Python, C#. Okay, so many programming languages. So one IDE can be used for many programming languages. That's why I am using here. Otherwise, I have one more, that is what your IntelliJ, JetBrains, IntelliJ IDEA. For Python, I am using separate PyCharm. But here in Visual Studio Code, I am writing the Python code in Visual Studio Code. That's right. So as I told you that is what, once you put dot operator, you will get this method. Okay, within this method, always terminate with the brackets. Now it is indicating that you accept to host port. Okay. Now I told you that what is the use of this bind method? This method used to bind both the pair arguments. What is host name and port number with the whom socket. With the socket. So how this bind method will be accessed by this object created here. So means you simply understand that many times, my dear students, in the programming, methods will be accessed in two ways. Method in 10 minutes, we need to understand this, otherwise no issue. And so methods will be accessed in two ways. Methods, what? Accessed in two ways. One is that either object method, otherwise class method. Object method or class method. Class method. Huh? Simply you understand that. Today, I am not writing all that clearly. You simply understand. So method, two methods, object. So here I have used the objects. That's why you can call this method as object methods. Okay. Otherwise, without the object, you can call the methods. But these methods are inbuilt methods of these methods are built-in methods of your socket module. So only they can be accessed by the object. So object created as S. I told you that yes, you can keep any name. If you keep my name, no issue. Vasu. Vasu is an object for this socket class, which is part of your module. So that moment I need to simply this IDE it will give. IDE means integrated development environment. That is VS codes. It will give the errors. Okay, here it is why because you have declared the object as Vasu, but you want to access this method with the S. So no, you need to call Vasu here. Vasu is an object. Okay, now come down next method. So now what happened? Your host name and your port, they are bound with socket created. Socket is created. Next come down. Okay. Once socket is created, then we need to send the data. Okay. So how the data will be sent? How the data will be sent? First of all, we need to understand that now how the data will be sent. So next, little bit of code we will write here. So whenever you write like this, simply you print, okay, bracket, a string type of data you write here. A string can be represented in single quotation or double quotation marks. It doesn't matter. Okay. Waiting for connection. Waiting for connection. So that moment, who is waiting for the connection? Server is waiting for the connection with the client. Why server is waiting? Because server will be available always 24/7. Client will be shut down anytime. So whenever client needs, he will open his device. So server always looking for the connections. Okay. At the socket. So waiting for connection. But now what you need to write code s dot listen. So once you put dot operator here, you're not getting anything. Why? Object I have used the, but I'm not getting any methods. Why? Because object name is Vasu. You write Vasu, then you will get methods. Here I want to use one method that is used to listen the traffic. So once dot operator I have used here, see. So within these methods, we need to see, listen. If you are not able to see, simply you put first letter L. So listen this method. Okay. So you get this method. Always method will be terminated suffixed with the brackets. So now you have used, you want to access this listen method with the object, okay, of your class, socket class, part of your socket module. Okay. Now within this listen method, some number, integer number, if I pass, so server looking for how many connections are in queue. How many connections are in queue? So the queue will be permit up to 5 connections. 5 connections. It can be changed as your desire, 10 connections. Okay. As per your. I have kept 5. It is server is looking at the socket, queuing of connections, queue of connections. Okay. Next, after that, we will use a while loop here. Try to understand how the while loop in Python will be used. So it is stating, it is giving me help. Same, I want to write here true colon. Okay, so Visual Studio Code, it is helping me. That is the means these ID Visual Studio Code designed by Microsoft. It is AI based, AI artificial intelligence based. That's why very intelligently it will give help to you. So as a programmer, so once you want to write the coding in the mobile, so Android based mobiles, this we will miss this type of helping. You need to refer and you need to understand, you need to write the code. But in large sessions, we are writing the code, we are working over projects, large projects. That moment writing the coding in the mobile, so it will not be suggested, because if you are functioning as a freelancer with the companies, different projects you are working, so that moment laptop, that is very suitable solution. But the mobile means what, in villages, rural areas, my concept is that I want to reach to throughout the world, rural, like Africa continent. So many poor population is there. They don't have any laptops. So if they don't, if they want to make their career, I will support them how to write the code in the mobile. That's why my concept is that initially you write the code in the mobile and practice, and many things we can write in the mobile. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, now this is the, it is indicating me, it is helping me that I will accept this first line of code. It is over. While loop always while keyword after that. So it means what? If true, while loop must be terminated with the colon, not semicolon. Okay, now after that code. So here I want to use some try blocks here. Okay, try block in Python, which must be terminate with the try block, must be with the colon. So within this try block, I will explain what is the role of try block. Okay. This try block will be used to handle the exceptions, exception handling. It will come, try must be associated with the except block. In Java, try block must be associated with the catch block. Here, try and except. Try and except. Okay. Except block must be associated with the try block. This will give error. Okay, this it will give. Why it is error? Both must be in same indent margin. Okay, under the try block, I want to write some address, some coding like this. Connection, one method I want to use, connection method, CONN. Okay, this connection, if I keep the mouse here, it is a function. It is a function of type. Okay. Now within this, I want to pass one parameter. That is what? ADD, short for address. Okay. ADDR. Now that is equal to, you accept this, but for this I will write, for this socket I will use the object here. Okay, for this object vasu, I have used the vasu, I have created dot. Which method I want to use here? Accept. This method, try to understand. So method will be terminated with the suffix with the brackets. So what is the meaning of this method? This method will be whenever connection is established between the two devices, server and client. So means connection is accepted. Connection is accepted. Okay. Now, why it is giving error? Connection is not defined. CONN is not defined. Okay, we will see that what is happening here. After that, come down. So now after that, I want to print some statements. That is what? String type of data here. I want to keep in single quotation or double quotation. It doesn't matter. Get connected from, what is get connected from whom? Okay, address. This is a that is what your ADD. One string type of data I have kept here, get connected from address. Okay.